Welcome to the Unshakable Foundation meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. This is a main share meeting, and today it is great pleasure and much gratitude that we welcome Anne, who has come to share on the topic, the family afterwards, for up to 40 minutes, after which we will open up for the Q&A portion of the meeting. Anne, it's over to you, please.
Oh, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anne and I'm an alcoholic addict. And I was going through the book very quickly, and there was just a bit. The reason why I thought of the family afterward is because I remember many years ago my sponsor telling me the hardest place to work your program, the hardest place to work your recovery is in the home. And the reason being is that, you know, the home has suffered more than anyone else. It's our family. You see, because I am the alcoholic addict, I'm the one with the illness, but I'm not the only one who suffers because of this illness. And they have been dragged through it. And because they're closest to me, because they love me more than anyone else in the world loves me, they suffer the most. You know, so it's since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that a man exert himself there. He's most likely to get, he is not likely, to get far in any direction if he fails to show unselfishness and love under his own roof. We know there are difficult wives and families, but the man who is getting over alcoholism must remember he did much to make them so. I have to realize that when I come into Alcoholics Anonymous, when I come into CA, I was like running around like a headless chicken. Oh my God, this is great. This is amazing. I felt great within a matter of weeks. That's just my experience. If anyone's new and you don't feel great in a matter of weeks, it's okay. Hold tight. You will get there. You know, I was sat there and I was like, you know, like the world was great. You know, everything, I felt fantastic inside, and I was meeting all these wonderful people, and I was getting lifted up by inspirational stories of hope, faith, and courage. You know, people sharing their experience and their wisdom, people telling me about themselves in a way that I understood me. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's what I've been suffering from. And I was lit up. And then I would come home. And there were these people who didn't trust that. They didn't believe it. And why would they? The evidence has showed them that I don't mean it. The evidence has shown them their lived experiences. I go back. Their lived experiences, I fail every single time. Doesn't matter what happened. Doesn't matter who got hurt. Doesn't matter who got embarrassed. It doesn't matter the shame and humiliation inflicted on my own children. It doesn't matter what oath I took that I was never going to do it again. I did it again. So when I come back from my meetings and I'm skipping through the door and I'm like, oh my God, everything's going to be great now. Because I've just listened to someone tell their life story to me and give me inspiration and hope that I hadn't felt in years. And they were like, because they didn't believe it. And it made me mad. How dare you? I remember when I was 2 weeks clean and sober, 2 weeks, right? 14 days. And there was an argument in my house because, like, let's face it, it was quite a chaotic house, and that wasn't going to just disappear overnight, was it? And I remember an argument in my house with my then 13-year-old daughter, and I literally screamed at her, right, while this was all going off, like, I've stopped drinking. Why are you an asshole? And I meant it. How could you? I haven't drunk in 2 whole weeks. How dare you be much of an asshole? Never mind the fact that when they had to come visit me in hospital when I had a stroke at 32, I was probably sober for 2 weeks before I went back. Never mind when I had surgery or when this happened or that happened or whatever, and I swore I was never going to do it again, I did it again. And here I was, the audacity to be demanding that they change because I haven't drunk in 2 whole weeks. Thank you very much. The most damage I caused was at home. The most damage I caused was to these people, the people that I love more than anything. in the world. Most of their suffering and trauma is because of me. And I have the audacity to demand my respect at 2 weeks, to demand my flowers and appreciation. Where's my pat on the back? Where's my standing ovation? Because I woke up this morning rather than laying in my bed screaming and shouting at you, demanding that you bring me a cup of tea. Where's my appreciation because I've actually cooked dinner? Or you've got clean clothes now. And that was really what it was like for me. Well, for them too. My children suffered immensely because of the illness that I have. I was the mum that everyone was terrified of. I was the mum that if other people's kids was misbehaving, they'd threaten them with me. Carry on and I'll get Anne. And those kids went to bed. Those children were verbally and physically harmed by me. They were neglected by me. They saw things that no child should ever see in the name of my fun. They had food. They had Disney on the TV. They'd like whatever. They was all right. Because I'm a good mum, don't you know? The fact that those kids would go to bed scared or go to school crying. The fact that they would sometimes have to wake up in the morning and step over carnage and maybe blood splattered up the wall because there'd been a fight in my house, which I thought was hilarious. The fact that my kids saw their other friends the older they got and realised this ain't normal. This ain't how my friend's mum behaves. Although, to be fair, where we lived, a lot of the mums behaved like I did. Do you know what I mean? It was just that kind of area. But, you know, but I mean, I jest. But the truth is they grew up with shame and humiliation. They grew up with an embarrassment of a mother. And it made them tough. And it made them hard. And it made them, to this day, still have some issues. I remember my eldest girl was talking about her relationship with a partner, and she was saying that she can sense just the tiniest change in atmosphere and immediately thinks, oh my God, what did I do? Am I going to be in trouble? And it broke my heart because I knew that was from her childhood. I knew that she had grown up in such an unstable and unpredictable house. Her home, her mother, that's what she grew up with. The slightest change in atmosphere, the slightest change in somebody's tone of voice, and instantly she goes on the guard. Today, I can acknowledge that. Today, I can understand that. And when we had that conversation, I actually turned and I said to her, oh, I'm so sorry. But that's because of me. That's because of your childhood. That you react like that to situations. And it gave her a like, oh, okay, that makes sense moment. And I hope in a way it helped give her a little bit of healing. I've seen my girls and I hear them shout sometimes, and I see a version of me that no longer exists today, but was their childhood, and it breaks my heart. I see pain and I see suffering, not all the time, but when it arises, I see it. And rather than pretend it didn't happen, or hide out of shame and embarrassment, or try and blame somebody else. Oh, well, my childhood. I take accountability. And I say, baby, I'm sorry. Now, I said sorry so many times throughout their lives that it meant nothing. But today they know that it means something, because an apology, a real apology, is changed behavior. See, for years they heard sorry, and then the person who apologized did exactly the same thing again and again and again. Whereas today they see, they bear witness, their lived experience is change. Their lived experience is a woman who can stick to her word. Their lived experience is a woman that they got to see consistently put the work into herself in order to be able to give back to them. I can never forget where we came from. And I don't want my girls to forget either. There are times when we sit and we laugh. You know, my other daughter, my third daughter, she was come home from college one day and she was laughing and she was saying, like, you know, her and a group of friends were at college and they were all talking about, like, oh yeah, do you remember when you was a kid and your mum and da 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 da? And she said, yeah, do you remember when you was a kid and your mum used to go in and like take your shoes off and hang them up and then take the new ones and get you to walk out with them, or like you used to help your mum with a bit of shoplifting? And the kids were like, oh, no, that's not normal. And when she was telling me, she found it hilarious. Luckily, she wasn't embarrassed. She was like, oh my God. You know, when she realized, even now, sometimes she has these realizations that there are people who grew up completely different to her. And luckily, she can find it funny, but she does still remember it. Because she was there. She got dragged through my illness. My illness, they suffered with too. So I have to remember that my recovery has to affect them. But not by me ramming it down their necks. Not by me forcing them to love CA and buy the t-shirts and the hoodies. It's by getting them to see me be me. I can't expect my family to understand what being an alcoholic addict is. I didn't understand what it was until I met you beautiful people. I knew very little about recovery when I first came in on the 16th of May 2015. And I knew even less about addiction and alcoholism. I had no idea what I suffered with. So when my family don't get it, in the beginning, I used to get really angry. And I would get in the ring. I would do all the rounds and extras. How dare you? This is saving my life. I have to go to meetings. Rah, 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 rah. And they'd just be like, you know, and some of them still don't get it. I remember one of my girls, my second daughter, saying to me, it's mind over matter. And it used to drive me insane. Oh my God, how could you say? Until one day my response now is, well, what do I do when it is my mind that is the matter? How do I mind over matter that? I don't get into that conversation with them anymore. I don't try and force them to understand what I suffer with. I know what I suffer with, and I know what my solution is. That is important. They don't need to know the ins and outs of this. They don't have to unless they want to. They don't need to know the ins and outs of my recovery unless they want to. Because God forbid one of my kids goes down the road that I went. If they are inflicted with this illness and it comes out later on in life, I don't want them to say, I'm never going to those meetings because my mum put me off when I was a child. I can't make people understand. Because before I met you beautiful people, had someone tried to explain this to me, I'd have been like, you're chatting shit. Like, I couldn't have got it. Even though they were who I was. Even though I had that illness, I couldn't see that I had it. When I come into recovery, I wanted to run around and bash everyone on the head with a big book. This is amazing. I had questions as to why people were still arseholes even though I was sober for a whole 2 weeks. I wondered why people resented and resisted the change. And this is the thing as well. It's some of the things that people don't talk about. And I can only share with you my experience. And like, when I came in, I'm a single mother of 4 girls, right? And they have been through a hell of a lot in their lives. My eldest girl was 19, 13, 8 and 6. That's how old all my 4 girls were when I came into recovery, right? And they had a lot of trauma. They had a lot of experiences, like I said, that they never should have had. They were not trusting of the fact that I was sober, and it took time for them to finally believe that I might actually stay sober. Do they live in fear that I will ever relapse? Abso-fucking-lutely they do. It's one of they're terrified of me. They don't think about it every day, but they know that it could happen. And these girls were happy that I was sober. It's what they wanted, right? They were happy that I was sober, but there was some resistance nonetheless. Because all of a sudden, you've got a 13-year-old who from the age of like 11 was out on the street until like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. You had a kid who could come and go as she pleased. You had kids who were able to sneak alcohol because I was already drunk and they could just nick it off the side and no one would know. They had kids who were sitting there who was able to party with their mum, who was able to drink with their mum, even do drugs with their mum towards the end, right? You had, obviously I'm talking about the older one, but like, you're sitting there and these kids had no boundaries, no lines, no nothing. It was just the wild fucking West, every man for himself. And then all of a sudden I'm like, it's 10 o'clock, you need to be home. And I've got a 13-year-old child turning 14 going, the fuck? Like, what do you mean? Like, it's 10 o'clock, you need to be home now. It's like, listen, 2-3 weeks ago, you didn't give a flying at this time. You weren't looking for me until one of your friends reminded you that I wasn't in the house still. And now all of a sudden you want to tell me. So as much as they wanted me to be this clean and sober mum, there was resistance. Because with that came change. And when you change, what happens is we learn about boundaries. We learn about the word no. We gain self-respect. We gain self-value and self-worth. And there are those people who, as much as they love us, took full advantage of that. So they want me to be clean and sober, but they also want to run wild. It doesn't work. The two things cannot coexist with one another. So they resist. I don't like it. I got, so now you're all spiritual. Yes, now I'm all spiritual. Get on board. Because the alternative, none of us liked. And we had to grow into these new roles together. It was not easy. My kids were not walking around going, yay, mum's at a meeting. They were like, where's mum? Because they weren't used to me being out of the house. My kids weren't like, yay, mum is sober. Because they were like, she told me I can't have like 5 friends stay over on a weeknight. Like, what is going on? They had their resistance, and there were arguments, and there was a lot of teething problems as we worked out our roles and our positions and our boundaries. They saw me and their dad getting back together in recovery, and they saw me and him break up again in recovery. They've experienced a whole new me that none of us had ever met before, not even me. We all had to learn and grow together. And the thing is I recover quite quickly, but they take time. And I can't force them. I can't drag them along with me. But my recovery has to affect them slowly, by their lived experience of me as this new person who I'm still trying to work out. As a mother, I have failed miserably. And as a mother, I got it right. And even in sobriety, as a mother, I failed miserably. And as a mother in sobriety, there have been times I've got it right. It's like being a brand new mum all over again. Except I ain't got no newborn babies. They're already grown. And I'm trying to navigate this world with them. Me and my girls have grown together now. And it hasn't been plain sailing. I've had physical fights with my girls in recovery. And it fucking broke me. We've had arguments. You know, I've had to apologize and mean it. I remember I must have been, about maybe 3-4 years clean. And like my girls, especially the older two, like every time me and her had an argument, every single time she'd be like, well, why do you think I'm like that? Why do you think I'm like that? Why do you think like that? And I'm like, 21-year-old woman, baby. You know, you're 21. You're not a child anymore. And I had to stop. And in anger, and the way I said it through gritted teeth. It was quite funny, actually. I told him, I said, listen, not now. Because we are far too angry to have this conversation right now, okay? I am far too angry. So I'm going to go away I will say this. When you are ready, not now, when you are ready, you can come to me and tell me every single little thing that you have been dying to tell me. Not now, though, because I won't be able to listen. And that's me being honest. It doesn't mean it has to be tomorrow or even this week. That door will never close. And I've given my second daughter the same thing. If you ever need to come to me and tell me about me, I will sit and I will keep my mouth shut and I will listen. If you want me to talk, I'll talk. I've had my kids stand there and be raging with me. And I had to say one time, the woman you're angry at doesn't exist anymore. She doesn't. I'm not her. But I can appreciate you're still angry. And you don't have to forgive me. You don't. You don't ever have to forgive me. You can stay angry at me for the rest of your life. I wouldn't recommend it because that will damage you. You don't have to forgive me, ever. But I want you to know this. I cannot go back and undo what has been done. My God, if I could. Oh, if I could go back. The only thing I would ever change is the mother I was. I said, but I cannot go back and undo what has been done. And for that, I am truly sorry that you ever had to live through that. But I promise you, I will spend the rest of my life trying to be the mother that you deserved. My girls know that they can come to me. They know that they can talk to me. They don't always have to like me. I'm their mum, not their friend. Although sometimes our relationship is kind of like almost sisterly because, like I said, we grew together. We had to work it out together. We made it up as we went along. And in those times, there have been times that I have had phone calls that would make your heart stop. One of my girls has her own demons, and she struggles with that. And a few years ago, she didn't want to be here no more, and she attempted to not be here no more. And I remember how we pulled together as a family. I remember the race home, the silence in the car between me and my other daughter, because we were terrified of what we were going to find when we got through that door. But she was okay. She stayed in hospital for a few days because they had to give her the antidote, to flush out the medication that she had taken and stuff like that, you know, and it was a real scary time. And I remember sitting there and I was praying, please God, don't take my baby. Please don't take her. Make her happy, make her well, make her strong, make her this. And somewhere in that, the desperation, it was almost like the fear in that prayer was growing in me. And I never understood that until all of a sudden this calmness came over me. And it was just like this step free moment. And I stopped. And I said, God, if my baby's not meant for this world, I beg you, give me the strength and endurance to get through it. I beg you to give me the strength and endurance to be able to be there for my other daughters. Because thy will, not my will, be done. And in that moment, something changed in me forever. Because I knew that it was no longer my will. It never was. And I was able to be there for her. Not try and force her to bend to my will, not try and make her be somebody that she didn't want to be or anything like that. I was just able to be her mum. And when my kids go through things, I sit there and I'm like, God, please let me be the mother that they need right now. God, please let me be the woman that these girls need right now. Give me the strength to be able to hold them and carry them. Because I know it's thy will, not my will, be done. No matter how badly I don't want things to go the way that they might go. God, please, please. When my daughter, who is also, my two eldest girls are both mothers themselves now. You know, my grandson, he's had a few seizures and it's terrifying. And I just pray. Give us the strength. That's what I pray for now. And talking of being a grandmother, I'm trusted with those babies today. Every Sunday I have my grandson. Every Sunday I have my grandson and I look after him all day Monday until his mum or dad or both of them come and pick him up. And I do that so that my daughter can go to work and it helps with childcare. And that little boy loves me. He's one of my favourite people in the whole world, and I am trusted. His mother couldn't stand me for many, many years, and there are still some issues there, like resentment-wise and so on and so forth, and I know that, you know, but it's okay. Because you ain't got to forgive me. You ain't got to stop being angry at me. Because you can see your lived experience of the woman I am today is different to the one that you grew up with. My eldest girl, she's got an 8-month-old baby who crawls with one knee on the floor and one foot on the floor. It's a lovely little thing because my youngest girl did that too. And it's beautiful. And she trusts me with her baby. And I look at these women and I see the mothers they are. I see the mothers they are, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the mothers that they are. And I wish to God I could have been just half of the mothers they are. But I cannot undo what's been done. I can't. As much as I may wish it, as much as I may will it. So therefore, I don't sit there and live in that regret. What I do is I take that regret and I fuel the change. I fuel my recovery. I fuel the woman I am today and fuel my daughters with my love to the best of my ability. When I sit there now, like, you know, not that long ago, that same daughter, she made another attempt. And I remember being able to turn around and say, like, you know, like when her dad was talking to me and he was like, I don't get it. Like, why, Anne? I just don't understand. Because obviously he's scared. I get it. And I just said, it's not that she doesn't want to be here. She just doesn't want to feel the way that she feels. And I get that. God, give me the strength to be the mother that she needs. Allow me to be able to be there for her and support her as and when she needs it. God, I pray that she gets the help that she so desperately needs, please. Because I don't want to see her suffer. But at least I know she's got the best version of me that she ever had in her life. At least I know that I'm not the person I once was. That version of me no longer exists, but I still remember who she was. I still remember where we came from. And like I said, sometimes me and my girls will sit and we'll tell stories and we'll laugh about it. Sometimes my girls will come out with things I have no fucking memory of at all whatsoever. They'll be like, oh, do you remember when? And I'm like, yeah, no idea, you know. But now as well, like, you know, we can still open up and speak to one another, and they know that they can come to me. My girls will pull me on my program. If I do something, and my daughter's the first one, oh, she can't help it. That's against your program. That's not honest, is it, Mum? That's against you. I'm like, oh, you know, leave me alone, judgmental. I was doing a meeting the other morning, and as we were doing the Serenity Prayer, my youngest girl comes in saying the Serenity Prayer, but doing an impression of me doing it. And I was like, grant me the serenity, my back foot. Like, what do you mean? How can I have serenity in this household? Is you know, I remember someone talking about the ego reconstructing, and my ego, oh my God, it's the fastest reconstruction known to man. Honest to God, if only I could build houses like that, like faster than Lego, it'd be amazing. But my ego will reconstruct, and you know, whenever I come home, and that is when that ego is deflated, because I'm just mum here. I ain't nothing special. I ain't no one special. I'm mum. But I like the fact that my children have always, even when I was in the madness, like, you know, but like the younger girls, like when their friends are going through something, they bring them to me. Come and talk to my mum. Sometimes their friends have shown up, even knowing that, like, when my children aren't here, and they've shown up and they'll just be like, I just need someone for a minute. And I'm like, come on in. They've got that relationship. I picked my daughter up from a school trip, and she brought all her friends over to the car to see me, you know, because like, that's my mum. They would die. They would rather rip their tongue out than admit that. But it's what that goes through their heads. I know it. They're proud of me. They are. They're proud of who I am today. And I'm proud of me. But I did not do this by myself. I did this with every single one of you here, whether we've met before or not. I did this with you. We did it because we recover. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. I have to sit there and I have to be so grateful for who I am today. And I will never allow myself to forget who I used to be. Because the second I start forgetting, as much as there are times, like, do you ever do this? I don't know. I can't know if I'm the only one, but I'm sure I'm not. You know, like you're just driving in your car, doing a bit of food shopping, just walking down the road, minding your own business. And all of a sudden you get like a little flashback of something really, really embarrassing. And you physically cringe like, oh my God, did I really say that? Oh my God, why would I do that? Oh, you know, and it's awful, right? But I then sit there, and as much as I want to banish it out my thoughts, I just sit there and turn and go, that's not who I am today. And I can't forget that. My children don't forget where they came from, not because they wish to punish me with it, because they wish to see how far we have all come as a family. You know, I remember my daughter writing in a Mother's Day card, thank you for change. Because you showed us that change was possible. And if you hadn't have changed, God knows where we would have ended up. And I'm like, this is why I can't forget who I used to be. This is why I have to always remain humble. This is why I always have to remain in these rooms. Please, God, don't ever let me think that back there, out there, is attractive. I have to remember the pain and the suffering. I have to remember everything that my children endured because of my illness. And as much as it breaks me, I have to remind myself, because the second I start forgetting how bad it was, it starts to look all right. It starts, oh, we weren't that bad. Remember them? Remember them days? I swear to God, I'm never doing this again. I'm not drinking anymore. I'm not taking drugs no more. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good. And somewhere in your head, you'd get the idea and the obsession would kick in. And you'd sit there and you'd think about like, well, if I just get one. And then you start to tell yourself that it weren't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And you do it again. I can't ever forget. As much as it can pain me sometimes, but I've had to forgive myself. I don't look back with hate. I look back with compassion. I look back with an understanding that I never could have had before I met you beautiful people. And when I look back, I remind myself of where I am today. And I thank God. Thank you, God, for me being here. Thank you, God, for the journey. Thank you, God, for allowing me to change. My illness affected so many innocents. My recovery must. And it's not because I go running around expecting a pat on the back and a standing ovation every time I do something that somebody who didn't have the same problem. So I used to go into work when I got clean on time. And I practically wanted a standing ovation. I've been in every single day this week. Like, they're like, that's what you're meant to do, Anne. And I'm like, crazy, right? Crazy. So I don't know how much time I've got left. So I'm going to start wrapping up. And I see my good friend Billy here. Hey, baby, I see you. I'm talking to the family afterwards. And obviously I focus mainly on my children. And I'm blessed to have those 4 beautiful women call me mother. I'm blessed to have 2 babies call me nanny. So if you're ever in a room and you see a child in a room, in a meeting, beg you mind your business. I beg you mind your business, because if there is a child in a room, it means that that child's adult is getting recovery. And that, my darlings, could be the difference between that child being fed, between that child being loved, between that child wondering where their adult may or may not be. If you see a child in a room, I beg you mind your business. You can argue with me, and I've had it. Oh, but these ain't ideal places for children. And yeah, you're absolutely right, my friend. But neither is a crack house. Neither is the back seat of a car being driven by somebody under the influence. And neither was my home. And yet my babies had no choice other than to be there. If you see a child in a room, I beg you, mind your business and allow that child's adult to get well. Because that child has suffered because of their illness. Mark my words, they have. And the last thing I'm going to end on is this. All my girls over the years have been to meetings and conventions, unity days and all sorts, Like CA runs through all of us. Like now that they've got older, like they don't do it as much, obviously, but I bought my eldest girl. Now, our eldest girl is a 30-year-old woman now. Like I said, she's a mother of her own. She's a 30-year-old woman. And she still has a scar on her forehead that I gave to her when she was about 3 years old. That's the type of mum I was. That's the type of person I was before I met you beautiful people. And I brought her to the meeting, not because she's one of us. One of them weirdos who can like pour a glass out of a bottle of wine and leave the rest. That is insane to me. But I brought her because I wanted her to meet you. I wanted her to see what it is that we do here and feel some of the magic that I feel every single time I come into a room of alcoholics and addicts just trying to get well. Of alcoholics and addicts just trying to stay well, and alcoholics and addicts trying to get others well. It's magic. And I just wanted her to be part of that for that day. And it was an open meeting and it was newcomers' time and no one was speaking. And she said, is it all right if I say something? I said, yeah, go for it. And she said, hi, my name's Bethany and I'm Anne's daughter. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being part of my mum's journey. I want to thank you for helping my mum to recover. I want to thank you for giving my sisters the mum that they always deserved. And I want to thank you for giving me back my mum. And with that, I want to thank each and every single one of you for allowing me to be of service this evening, helping me stay clean and sober one more day, not just for me, but for them too. God bless you all. I will leave it there.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kim. I'm a drug addict. Hi, Anne. Thank you so much for your incredible share. I have a question for you. I am a mom of a 26-year-old daughter, and I'm just newly coming into the rooms. And I'm filled with shame, remorse, and regret. Now, you said in your share that you don't sit in regret, you fuel in recovery. What did you mean by fuel in recovery, please?
I use that regret in the sense of when I think back of how I used to be, rather than just sitting in regret, because all regret does is make me feel bad. What I do when I say I use it to remind me of where I used to be, and I do not want to go back there. Yes, that was awful. I never want to be that mum again. So I'm determined to stay on the path that I am on. I'm determined to continue improving and growing as a mother and a woman and a role model for these girls. So that, so I kind of use that past to rocket fuel my today and my future. Because, God, I can't go back. I hope that answered your question, my lovely.
Thank you for your question. And Andy, you're in next, please.
Hi everyone, my name's Andy, I'm an addict. Thanks very much for your sharing, that was incredible, it really hit home. I loved how much you focused on your share on your kids, and I'm only 23 days sober. This is the first time I've ever joined the fellowship and started the meetings, and I've just started the 12-step program with my sponsor, but quite the way you're talking, the amount of emotion and feeling you had talking about your kids, and just how much I could relate to how shit I feel at the crap dad that I've been over the years and what they've had to see. And I'm using them as, well, obviously I want to get better for myself, but them as my higher power to be there for them and be the proper dad that I am. And just got a lot of inspiration and a lot of hope from listening to your share there. And just like to say thank you. And you should be very, very proud of yourself from how far you've come. And well done. Thanks.
Thank you. And don't ever say only. You're not only, you are. Every single day that you have of recovery is not only. Every single day is a day to be proud of. All right, my lovely. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Andy. Leah, you're in next, please.
Hiya. Thank you so much, Anne. Literally blubbing like a baby I was. So I have two children myself, who live with their dad through this illness of mine. Ours, should I say. And my son, he's 11. You know, and it breaks my heart. His words are, he's scared of me and he doesn't trust me. You know, he's having a lot of emotional difficulties himself. He, you know, thank God for his stepmom. You know, she does for him what I cannot. But I struggle with forgiveness. How on earth do I forgive myself for these children that I love unconditionally and what they're going through? I just can't find that forgiveness. You know, it tortures me. And if there's anything you could suggest or help to get through that.
Yeah, I can relate so much, Leah. Thank you. That's a great question as well. I never thought I would ever be able to forgive myself. And it seemed bizarre. I felt like I didn't deserve the forgiveness. I don't deserve, to be okay and to not feel this wretchedness inside of me every single time. The thing is forgiveness wasn't something that I could force. The cleaner I got, the longer my sobriety, the further I moved away from being the woman that I despised, the easier it was to be able to forgive. It's hard when you still think of yourself as that person. So remind yourself of who you are today. Remind yourself of the changes you are making. Remind yourself of every single step that you are taking. Like I said to like Andy a second ago, it's never only, I'm only this amount of days. No. Even 5 minutes is an achievement. Even 5 minutes is a celebration, because every single time we step away from who we used to be, that is our victory. Every day, every minute, every hour, every second is a victory. So the further away from that woman, the easier it becomes to forgive. There isn't a time limit and there isn't a secret potion, unfortunately. I wish, I'd have bibbidi bobbidi booped you right now. But unfortunately, it's just a matter of time and growth, my darling. But hang on in there. Hang on in there. I promise you it does get better.
Thank you for your question. And come on in, Rach, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rach. I'm a very grateful recovered addict. Hi, Anne. Good to see you, girl. Thank you so much to the service team. Apologies, I've got my camera off. My question is about the amends process with your girls, with your family. How did that go? And have you got any guidance around the amends process with family in particular? Thank you.
Buckle up. Buckle up. Now, some family members were like, nope, don't want an apology. I remember my mum was very much like, no, I don't want an apology, Anne. And I'm kind of like, I got to. Like, I have to. I don't know what to do, And, the younger girls were too young to fully understand it. My other girl was just kind of like, I'm just grateful that you're clean. So when I said, is there anything you want to say? Absolutely not. No. Keep doing what you're doing. My second daughter, however, she pulled no punches. And I'm grateful for that, because it made me see the finer details that I had missed out. Trying to be as honest as you can, obviously age appropriate as well, is so important. But you've got to remember, these people have heard sorry. They've seen you juicing and buying your gym membership. They've seen you stocking the fridge up with Evian because you're never going to drink again. They've seen you buying all the herbs and the supplements because that's it, you're changing your lifestyle, and they've seen you on the floor again. So you've got to remember that they might not necessarily trust it straight away. So time and patience and gentleness. I believe in remaking the amends later on when you've got a little bit more sobriety and going through the steps again. And I did that. And when I was able to make my amends, my first daughter, who was like, nope, I have nothing to say, just keep doing what you're doing, she was able to open her mouth a bit more because she felt more secure and wasn't worried that her words were going to make me relapse. And my second daughter, the one who opened her mouth the first time, was able to heal from what I was able, because I took on board everything she said. And I was able to truly make an amends. But the best amends you have is changed behaviour. Ain't no sense reading, I'm in a 12-step fellowship program and I owe you an amends, and is there anything else you'd like to say? Reading the script. Ain't no point telling them about your step 8 and your step 9. There ain't no point telling them none of that shit if you don't change who you are. If you go back and repeat the behaviour again and again and again. And if people don't accept your apology, that is okay. Carry on doing what you're doing. My living amends to my family is continuing every single day in recovery. Every single day that I do recovery is my amends to them. I hope that answered your question, gorgeous.
Thank you for your question. Michael, come on in.
Thank you, Michael, recovered addict. Thank you for really for your honesty and your vulnerability. There, so proper lit the room up. So you spoke about well, you spoke about a lot of things. One of the things you mentioned was the reconstruction of ego and how quick it comes in. I wish too I could build houses like that. So my question really is how do you stay vigilant for ego reconstructing, and then more importantly, what do you do to deflate it? And thanks again, Anne. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you. Oh, that's a bit of a tough one as well. To stay vigilant. Do you know the thing about my ego is it pops up without me noticing. It will try and tell me that I'm not being egotistical. It's very much like my illness. It lies to me inside of my own head using my own voice. So therefore, I think that I'm not being egotistical. But it does. And it does reconstruct. My biggest ego deflation is every time I turn on Netflix, right? Every time I turn on Netflix, you've got all the names of the accounts. Yeah, got all my children's names. And my name is Pissy Polly Pants. Now, the reason why that is because we had a little bit of a Netflix war between me and my girls, and we kept changing each other's icons and names and this, that, and the other. And it got quite personal at one point. So in order to stop it, I have just left that name there. I refuse to change it to Mum. And every single time I go on my Netflix, I'm like, yep, I'm just someone who gave birth a few years ago in this house. My ego can tell me, like, oh my God, look at me in recovery. I'm so great. I'm so amazing. I'm so wonderful. I'm doing all these wonderful things, and look at me and and I come home and I ain't Ann W. I'm Mum. I'm literally just somebody who gave birth. I'm that one that's, oh, for God's sake, is she going on again? That's how I got to get humble. They humble me. They'll right size me in a second. Ain't letting me get away with niche.
Thank you for your question. Jane, you're next, please.
Hi, Anne. My name's Jane. I'm got 33 years. I have 2 children. Right now, my daughter's apartment, recovering from knee surgery. I have a son. Well, she's 47, and my son is 37. So they're grown, and they both see in and so allowed me to see that was one that he was going to empower over the
Janie, I'm so sorry. The connection's really bad, darling. I'm not hearing you very clearly. Maybe. Yeah, try that.
Can you hear me now? Oh.
Yeah, okay. That's a lot clearer. Thank you, darling. Sorry.
Okay. I have 2 children, adults, a son and a daughter, and I'm here with my daughter recovering from a knee surgery. And my son, he's 37, and he's still dealing with his recovery. He's struggling with it. But I'm realizing that God is allowing, I've been clean for 33 years. I'm alcoholic and addict. And so God is allowing my daughter, the one, to take care of me. And so my question is, I have to realize that, am I still able to contact my son on Facebook, of course, on Facebook Messenger? Can I still be able to talk to him even though he's not reaching out at this time?
Wow, that is. There are times, obviously, that our kids, they ain't interested. They don't want to be around us and this, that, and the other. And like you said, we've done a lot of things. But first of all, can I just say, well done. Was it 36 years, did you say? That was like, Ooh, please
Yes,
God, may I
33.
be able to say that? Well done.
No, 33.
30,
33.
oh, 33. Sorry, my apologies. 33 years. That is absolutely tremendous and an inspiration. And thank you for staying and keeping the lights on for the rest of us to be guided home. When our kids are going through what they're going through, it's awful, because what we want to do is just, like a bull in a china shop. But one thing I would say is never stop reaching out. Never stop, even if it's just a message. Love you. I'm here if you want me. Happy birthday. Hope you're okay. I hope you've eaten well. We have to allow them the space so that we don't get on their nerves. But at the same token, when it comes to our kids, I would still turn around and say, this is just my opinion in this instant, is I'd still love you. Because one day he can never turn around and say you gave up on me. He'll never be able to turn around and say that you turned your back on me or you left me alone. So even if it's just that message, and I use the word just, but that's still powerful, Mama. I see your pain and I feel it. And there's no guarantees that he's I can't say, yeah, he's going to talk to you or this, that, and the other. But when we talk about keeping our side of the street clean, that's what we're talking about. You make sure that he knows, no matter what, that his mum loves him. And when he's ready, he knows where to come. God bless you, my darling. I pray for you and your boy. And of course, your your daughter as well.
That was beautiful, thank you. We are going to reduce question time to 1.5 minutes as we're drawing close to the end of the meeting. Nicola, you're in next, please.
Hi, I'm Nicola, alcoholic addict. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Anne, for such a brilliant and powerful share. I can relate so much. My daughter is, she's just turned 18. And me and her dad split up about 3 years ago. So she's been with him through the last 3 years of my addiction. Luckily for me, she's supportive. I'm coming up to 5 months sober now. And she has just come home. So she's doing half and half now. The only thing that really concerns me is that things are going a little bit too well. And she doesn't mention anything. She just doesn't talk about my addiction. She doesn't talk about mine and her dad's divorce. I stopped saying sorry because, as you know, she just said, I've heard it all before. So at what point do you think I should bring up the conversation to talk about what she's been through? Because I have found letters and stuff.
Oh, good question, Nicola. And we do like to look a gift horse in the mouth, us lot, don't we? Things are going almost too well. Take the blessing while you can. Enjoy the moment while you can. I don't know if it is always going to be like this. It may just one day she turns around and erupts. You just got to make sure that you are at your best spiritually for that day, if that day arrives. And don't ruin today worrying about when, because it might not. Just let her know. Let it be her. We've got a habit, I have a habit of forcing things. I have to do this, or you have to talk to me about this, and so on and so forth. I can't make them relive or rehash or refeel any of these things if they're not ready to, if they're not prepared to. It has to be led by them. But they know I'm here. Whenever you want, whenever you're ready. That door will never close. You will always have the opportunity. The only thing I ask is please don't do it in anger. Let's not do it while we're arguing. Don't wait for a bad moment for it to all come spilling out. And the thing is I have to remember, even in me saying that I have a program, they do not. So right now, there might be a part of her that's tiptoeing. I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to talk about it because I'm scared I'm going to tip her over the edge. Maybe she can't deal with it right now. Maybe she's just so grateful of how things are at the moment. She don't want to rock the boat, so don't you neither. There ain't a hole in your boat, so stop trying to fill it with water. You know? Enjoy it. Enjoy it. These conversations, you've got the rest of your lives together. There will be time for these conversations, my love. Okay? I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. And last, we have Lance, please.
Hi, my name is Lance. I'm an addict. Thank you, Anne. That was, as a dad, that was one of the most powerful shares I've heard. And I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. And one of the biggest pains from my using is, like you say, the harms I've caused them. And I was just wondering, my daughter's asked me one question. She asked me, I had no contact with them for about 5 months. And she asked me one question, and that was, why? Why did you leave us for that 5 months? And I told her that I needed to get help, to deal with Daddy's anger and things. And she said, was it to do with alcohol? And I said, yes. I'm on my step 9 now, but she's 10 and he's 7, and they might not be on my step 9. How do you know when it's time? And I don't know if you can answer this, but how I urgently want to sit down and apologize and make my amends, but how do I know if it's right for them?
Wow, that is a really, really good question. And I'm going to be very mindful about how I answer that one. When I was talking about it being age appropriate, you know, you can always do something and keep it quite light. It doesn't have to be a heavy, serious, we must sit down and talk conversation. It can almost be, and I know that I don't mean to sound so flippant about it, but it can almost be like in passing. It can be we're feeding the ducks down at the park and just be like, you know, remember when you asked why I wasn't around for a while? You know, and I hope you understand that it wasn't that I didn't want to be, and I'm really, really am sorry for that, but I'm going to try and make sure I'm the best that I am, and then go back to feeding the duck, you know, but let them lead that conversation. Also, if they clam up instantly, we back away from it and be like, okay, we can have this conversation another day. But I would make it, with my older children, it was like, I need to make an amends to you. With my younger children, it was very much just like, you know, look, mummy wasn't well and she's doing her best to try and be a better mummy. And that was all I had to do. And I then had to stick to that. So yeah, just that would be my advice. How that works, you know, everyone's different. I'll leave that. I hope that answers your question, my friend.
Thank you for your question. And Billy, jump on in for a quick question. Thank you.
Thanks very much. It's towards the end of the meeting. I'm sorry I don't have a question, but I did want to say in this meeting that today is the 43rd anniversary of the first meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. And an hour and a half ago, I was in a room hearing the share of Veronica, who was the first secretary of the first meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. And, you know, this is, it's quite a day, for us where we've come since that first meeting. And I guess I just want to say that, in my eyes, that just draws attention to the fact that the women of Cocaine Anonymous have been a guiding force in so many different ways in this fellowship. You're one of them. And you know, for me, when I look around this room and I see you speaking to all of the young women here about parenting, you know, this, what I see really is the future of Cocaine Anonymous, because it is the women in this fellowship that move things forward. You know, it is the women in this fellowship that nurture, that show us what it is to nurture. And as the previous speaker spoke about, it teaches us how to be good dads too. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Billy. I love you, darling.
Thank you, Billy.